Hello, everyone. I'm Valerie, and I welcome you today to our online live stream practice. What we are doing today is the higher image of self, the symbolic way of perceiving where you are, what's happening with you, and accessing the true self. So, welcome everyone. As usually, let me know who's here. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat. And today we will need paper, some art materials, as whatever you have, as usually, whatever you have available for you. It could be as simple as pencils, as simple as pastels. Would be great if you have collage, if you enjoy doing collage. And as usually with Active Creative, we have a very simple process that we follow every practice. And we start today with grounding ourselves into somatic practice. So I would like you to start with some grounding, getting into the present moment. And today I will use some Tai Chi exercise to just get into the body. So we start with an opening arrival to the space. So I invite everyone to stand up if comfortable. And I will show you. So just stand up with comfortable feet on the ground, hip width apart, knees soft. If you are sitting, it's possible to do that. So we begin with relaxing our arms, resting on the sides, the jaw softened, shoulders released. Feel both feet connecting with the ground. Imagine the weight of your body dropping down through your feet first, feeling the whole weight of your body into the feet, and you don't have to hold yourself up tightly, just let it be soft, let the ground hold some of your weight for you, and gently shift weight a little from one foot to another, back through the center. So one, and then another foot, and do this slowly 3 times, and notice the even part of you while you move. There's a center that you will keep returning to. So you move from left to the right and feeling the center inside. And as you do that 5 times from one feet to another, just feel the center and take a deep breath and feel in the core of your center in between the left and the right. And on the inhale, slowly float both your hands up towards in front of your body, palm facing up, and then as you go down, move the palms facing down as the hands reach your chest, shoulders, soften your elbow, and exhale, allow the hands slowly go down. So we're repeating this in and out, feeling your shoulders, feeling how your body moves up and down with the hands in. And as the hands rise, allow yourself to become a little taller and move spacious as the hands go down. Feel yourself returning into your body, into the earth. Rising without leaving yourself, grounding without making yourself small. So the movement is feeling taller as you go up and grounding to the earth. And then turn the palms up to the center, just in the middle of your body, right here. So now one hand, the right hand, goes up, represents what is above, and then turn the other hand to go down and feeling the earth. And then you flip and doing the opposite direction, so connect those palms in the center, then flip, so the left arm goes up and the right arms go down. So this is the moment we're allowing ourselves to become grounded and feeling where the center is. So what is already trying to rise through us, finding with the hands, where is the center? Where do you feel that your center is? Connecting to that center, flipping, and then going up, and exhaling, going down, flip, breathe in, and then breathe out. So connecting to the roots below, space above, and center within us. So slowly continuing this exercise, just to noticing how far your hands reach. Where do you feel naturally the center of your body? And then flip and do with the other arm. And that way we're grounding ourselves from roots to the sky and finding the middle center. And then slowly put your palms together and press your fingertips into each other and just press tightly, feeling the connection of your hands pushing into each other. And then push for 3, 1, 2, 3, and then release. And feel the tension in your hands and shake it off. So just a bit of grounding exercise for our body to start the practice, to ground ourselves into our body, feeling the connection, and then we getting into the practice of higher self today. So when we use the words higher self, we are talking about the part of us that is capable of seeing the wider perspective. So that's why I want to have a bit of explanation of what the meaning of the higher self today is. And the everyday self is you. So the everyday self can be very close to what's happening into your life, as we've discussed what's on your plate. What do you need to solve? What do you think? What I can handle at the moment? The thoughts that you have, this is your everyday present self. The decision that we make every day, the thinking mind of daily actions, daily routines, what is present in your life. The higher self we use as a metaphor that give us a little distance of your present terrain, your present plate, as the exercise that we did. So the higher self is, instead of asking, what am I scared of right now? What is happening? Where do I need to make actions? We ask, what is the wiser part of me understands about my life? And the distinction is very important. Very important to understand that higher self does not mean better or perfect. And one of the oldest important parallels come from the philosophical traditions of ancient India, where they ask to explore the concept of Atman. It is the deepest, the essential self, and the fundamental questions about who we are beneath all this life, the changing experiences of your life, your body, your thoughts, your personality. And we go deeper into that fundamental understanding of who you are. There's also a process of individuation by Jung that involves gradually developing a relationship with that larger self of you, the integrated, the unconscious and conscious part of you that is the self, the represents the wholeness rather than perfection. So the highest self is not the successful, the beautiful way of me, the enlightened version of me that finally gets everything right. It is more the wiser self that can hold more what I'm holding at the moment. It has the wider perspective of who you are. And that includes your vulnerabilities, your fears, your strengths, and certainty and uncertainty, the consciousness and unconsciousness, and what has already been developed in your life, but also what is emerging. So the higher self is the name we're giving to this wiser, wider, more integrated perspective of you, the part that is capable of seeing beyond your current movement, your life situation, the immediate pressures, the fears, the habits, the expectations, the responsibilities. So we don't have to decide whether it comes from your soul, from your psyche, from unconscious. We're just connecting to that version that you bring up for yourself today. And instead of analyzing it or trying to put a framework, how it looks, where it's coming from, we're just becoming curious. And what happens when I give that part of myself a voice? So today we're going to give that part a voice. And if that part of you already carries a greater wisdom, clarity, compassion, and trust in what's happening in front of you, how does it appear? So we also can call it a compassionate self, a person that is yourself, that has more compassionate and understanding part of you, and have more vision and perspective of the wholeness of yourself. So as usually, I would like you to use your workbook that we all have. So we are going into the week of the higher self image, and we start by setting an intention for today, an intention for being present right here, right now, and seeing what wants to appear. So if you can take a moment and write an intention for this practice for yourself. What is my intention? What is coming up for me today that I would want to put into words of what am I exploring today? So just have a moment and write that intention. If you don't have a workbook, just write on a piece of paper in front of you as the top, or you can also put a date if you don't have a date there, so you can always come back and anchor yourself into this practice. So starting by writing that intention, it could be the words that come up for you. It could be a simple message to yourself of where do you feel yourself and what's coming up. So as we do that, we're going into pre-workshop, pre-practice reflection questions that can align you and ground you into that concept of what you want to explore. So the first question is, When was the last time this year, this week, that you feel mostly like a truest self? So I'm putting this comment into the chat so you could see it and write it down. What have I felt most likely my truest self this year, or when have I felt myself? Again, it could be this year as a framework for timing. If you think of events, memories, when did you feel like your true self? Like yourself as you are. It could be today. It could be a moment that comes up into your memory. So we connect to that and see what comes up. And then we're going to the next question is, what does the wise part of me already know? What does it know about me? That deeper truth that you know about yourself. It could be one word. It could be something that you know about yourself very truly and deeply that always stays with you. It could be your value that you really care about. And we just connect to that. What do I already know about myself as my wisest part of me? So as we're going into that questions, you can write it down, and then when you're ready, we're going into the visualization meditation. And as you finish, I would like you to settle into your chair, finding a comfortable place for you to be. Scan the room around you. Find 3 pleasant or neutral things, or things you like to look at, something that makes you feel good, makes you feel connected. So 3 things around you. Just simply being aware of the room that you're in, and then feeling the weight of your body on the chair, feeling that whole weight sitting into the chair, your feet, your body. And then as you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes or lower your gaze and simply connect to your breathing. So noticing your breath is one important part of the meditation, is to connect and allow all the thoughts to just fly by, and you focusing on your breath, breathing in and out, and just notice your own rhythm of the breath, and breathing in and breathing out, and deepening the breath, and closing your eyes if you feel comfortable. And I want you to imagine that you're walking on a path, just your own path, just as you are right here, right now, walking just far enough as you feel like, and you're working into your perfect self, perfect environment, whatever it might feel like, it might appear like for you, where everything feels more clear, more calm, more relaxing. There's no need to do anything, think anything. Just be in that simple walking on your own path with a feeling of clarity in yourself, in your mind. And notice this person stands in front of you, or it could be anything that appears in front of you as a reflection of your higher self, wiser self. Notice what appears, what does it look like, what does it feel like. Notice how does it feel to be in that space. Just being in the present and recognize and be curious what comes up for you. Might include something that represents the feeling of being centered, being clear. It could be a symbol, a color, a feeling inside of you. Anything that appears for you in that moment, just be curious about it and explore. You can have a little conversation. You can play in that space. You can notice what appears as an environment. What quality comes up as a belonging to that version. And stay in that space. Slowly allowing you to just be curious with no expectations of anything. Just open up to anything that will come through. Nothing has to be perfect, just the way it is. And as you explore that version of you, version of the image, symbol, color, sensation, material, whatever came up for you, just get that feeling and slowly come back to your breath. So start noticing your breath in and out. And slowly notice the path coming back to the same path with the knowledge received, with the image received. And slowly come back into the present moment. Opening your eyes whenever you feel comfortable, or just sitting slowly into the breath, and whenever you feel comfortable, you can open your eyes. And as you feel ready, you can comment, how did this visualization meditation appear for you? If there's any questions before we start our creative process. So if anything, just put it into the comments. If it's too much, if you're watching it on TV, just you can write it down for yourself and ask me later. as we go into the creative practice, visualization meditation is something that we get trained to. It doesn't appear straight away. Um, Everyone's different. So be very kind to yourself. And when something appears or doesn't appear, or there's no control, there's no expectations of what it looked like, what it should be. We're just exploring our way of perceiving reality through your own subconscious mind. So if pieces of information for you come easily visually, if it doesn't, there's no expectations whatsoever. So as we go into the creative process, so what we're going to do, we're going to use our art materials, and you can start, if you had a very clear, visualization, whatever came up for you, you can just start drawing that. If there was a color or sensation, you can start projecting that feeling, sensation onto the paper by using lines, by using just colors, anything that represent that feeling, emotion that arose for you. And if you had nothing at all during the visualization, we're going to go into creating the version of you that you would call yourself a compassionate self, the higher self, the version of you that sees the perspective of who you are, where you are, and connect to that version of self. How does it feel? How does it move? So by creating, or what I'm saying is, so you take your art materials whenever you have, and we start slowly. We start by noticing what color does it feel like? What color would you connect to that? So we always work with colors. So what color is the wise version of you represents for you? And then you can connect to the symbol, to the portrait, to the self-image, or just lines or coloring something. So allow your hand just to move through this. Allow your hand with no expectations. What is the end result? What am I trying to achieve here? Allow your hand just to go into creative process and start creating. There's nothing that has to be achieved at the end. There's no end result. So allow yourself, connect to what represent this wider version of me. How does it represent for me? Something that represents the center, the knowledge, the wisdom. Something represents how this self moves through difficulties, through life. What does it know that you might not see, might not be aware at the moment? And the highest version of you has very clear vision of all the perspectives around. So yeah, use the color. You can use abstract, you can use symbols, whatever comes naturally for you. So we're connecting to that part of you that just explores and see what comes up. If you have a clarity on your visualization, so you do that. You connect to some parts that appeared for you during the visualization meditation. You don't have to know exactly what it should look like. The purpose is not to show you entire way how it appears. It's to connect through creative process to that part of yourself. And this is your chance to just have a moment to creatively explore it. If you are here, always, this is a space for you to go into your playfulness and give time to explore whatever comes up with your art materials, with the colors, with the playfulness, and see how far can you push yourself into just allowing not to expect anything out of it, leaving all the expectations behind, and just move through the paper with art materials without overthinking what it is, how it looks, and let your subconscious guide you rather than your thinking mind. Perhaps the higher self is not waiting somewhere in the future. Perhaps the higher self is always around you, it's always there. So you can ask, how does it want to appear right here, right now, in front of you on a piece of paper? And as we go into creative process, please comment anything that comes out. If there's any questions that arises for you. So for me, I am allowing myself just to use the colors and explore the movement that wants to appear without thinking, what it might be, as just playing with what's around you, connecting to that version of myself that has the perspective of things, that sees the wider picture of my life, sees the things that I'm protecting myself from seeing because of the daily routine that needs to be done, daily responsibilities. So this is my chance and your chance to ask that version of yourself, what is that I am not perceiving, I am not seeing, I am not noticing, but it is part of me, it is always there. And see what comes up naturally without analyzing anything on your paper. The main thing is just go to the creative process without analyzing the outcomes. So I'm just covering my paper without finding any meanings behind it. And today I'm using oil pastels as a simple way to connect to the texture and the color and the shape and the form. So as you go along, have another 5 minutes to put it onto the paper, to explore and get into fun playfulness. If you have a clarity on that, if you had a higher self appeared for you in front of you, keep connecting to that version, and you can see how this person feels. What does it know exactly, and have a clarity about. The purpose of working with the higher self is to have a compass, but that not the whole compass that knows everything. It is the compass that simply helps you recognize the direction you need to go, because the compass knows all the directions and knows the entire road. So the higher self is there to just show you the direction, to recognize it inside of you. And when life becomes noisy, when fear comes in, it is a great practice to connect to that higher self that has no fear, has connection to the grounding, has the understanding of who you are beneath everything. What does that person look like? What would be the image that comes up? What would be the person in the image that you need to see at the moment, right here, right now? And perhaps the higher self is not waiting anywhere. It is always there with you. Perhaps every time you make one small choice coming from the higher self, you allow more of you to arrive, to be more true to yourself. When this version of you of higher self comes in, when you make decisions out of that part that is not in current life situations, not in making decisions, it's just there. It has the wider and more integrated perspective of who you are. It could appear in many shapes and forms for you, and it can hold more for you. Again, it's not the perfect version of you, more enlightened version. It's just you that has nothing on the plate and just being as it is, as a true self, without being in the making daily routine life decisions. That's the version that we are connecting here today. So as we coming into that space of that version of you that is there to support yourself, it could come up as something very symbolical for you. It could be a vision of something that is important for you and that represents that self, that sensation. So I would like you to connect to that feeling it gives you in your body, in your memories. If there's any memories comes up of that version of you, how does that appear? Yeah, so this is what came up for me. Again, it is my own interpretation of how it feels to be the true self, the higher self version of me. And at this stage, we're not analyzing what appears, we just allow it to come through. And the self-portrait, the self-image doesn't have to be the actual image of a face or a figure. It is the feeling that we're connecting to. The feeling that comes from that enlightened way of seeing. So now I want you to sit with where you are, and obviously you can work through that later, but I would like to go as usual into our reflection stage. So whatever appeared for you at this moment for you today, we're coming into looking at it from different perspectives. And the questions that we have in our workbook, you can write the answers there. So the workbook is always there to help you to connect later, to anchor that feelings, what is coming right now, right here for you today. So the first thing we're asking is, what surprised me about how myself appeared? And what would that mean for you is, where was that surprise in the visualization meditation, in the actual creation process, how it changed and transformed for you as you started, and where it led you? Where was the surprise that was unexpected for you? So you can write that down. What surprised you about this appearance? So for me personally, what surprised me is the shape, basically. The shape itself of that diamond shape that appeared for me. For you, it could be the color, it could be the image itself. So just write it down, what surprised you. And then the next question is, I will put it in the chat. What did I include in the picture that I didn't plan to? What have you included in the picture that wasn't part of your plan, original plan? When you saw the visualization, you expected it to appear, something else appeared. So for me, what was unexpected is those vibrational lines that just came through naturally. It was something I didn't expect to come. So just put that down without analyzing. So now we'll go deeper into reflecting on what came up. So the next question would be, what is the self, your true self, your higher self, your compassionate self, trying to tell you today? So every day you if you look at the image, what is the first thing that comes up when these questions arise? What is the self trying to tell me every day, or tell me now? So it's quite of, deep questions to think. What is the message that the higher self is kind of leaning towards, and thinking of something that you know about self, something that you perceive about yourself, but something that you can include into today. So for me, it is the structure, I think, is the structure that comes, and that's what I would put in my workbook. And then you can find your own meaning for it. But that's what comes up. First thing that comes up, what is the self trying to tell me right here, right now? What is the first thing that comes up for you? So write that down. And then the next question is, where in my body do I feel this higher self, this compassionate self, when I look at the image? Where, so you can look into the image, you can even put your hands on it and ask yourself, where in your body does it feel very strongly? So you can take a deep breath in and just feel, where in your body does it feel? So clear awareness of your body perception. Connection to that body experience. Where in your body does it feel? And don't forget to put it in your workbook. So the next question is a quiet one that you can write a few words. So if this image could speak one sentence to me, what would it say? So what I want you to do is to look at the image and have your pen, pencil, and ask, and just wait for it to respond. So ask, what do you want to tell me today? What do you want to say? So today I would like you, today is a new moon in Aquarius. There's a lot of voice, there's a lot of truth that needs to be heard from the self. And connecting to the true self of you, the voice of your truth, the inner understanding, the inner knowing, is what we're practicing this week. We make an image of self that already knows, not what to do, how to appear, but the presence that you have within you. Not what you should be, but who underneath of all of it you already are. So your higher self isn't a distant, better, improved, or future version of you. It's part of you that always been there when everything else is panicked, when everything else moved. There's a quiet voice of truth that knows and feels clear. So picturing it is a recognition of that part of you. So by creating this image, you're recognizing and creating that connection to that visual way of connecting to that part of you. And symbolic self-portrait with use of colors, symbols, textures, face memories. It is giving your higher self a form. You make it easier for you to access it, and it becomes your compass. When we've started our practice, the Atlas, with creating what's on your plate and then navigating where do you belong, and then finding that courage within you. So today I would like you to finish with having a clarity of how do you appear to yourself as a true self, as your higher version of your compassionate, loving version of you, that's just as you are, not perfect, not ideal. And I would like you to finish with one word of how does it feel to be in that space for you. And you can write it down on top, or you can name this self image of yourself, symbolic higher self of you, and give it a name. And then we will go. So I'm always using my oils to ground myself back into reality, into this world.